So I'd love to have a conversation based on a news report that I saw yesterday coming out of the Spice Island, Grenada. So according to the health ministry from Grenada is that the government of Grenada and the government of Nigeria signed some agreement to have healthcare workers from Nigeria coming into the Caribbean island to work in Grenada. So what the question is, what does this mean for the Cuban medical program? Let's talk about it.
Health Minister Philip Telesford on Wednesday disclosed that the government of Grenada has signed an agreement with the government of Nigeria, enabling Nigerian healthcare specialists to provide their services in Grenada to boost the country's healthcare system. Minister Telesford was at the time responding to a question posed by a journalist about government's plan to increase staff in the public healthcare system.
We have signed an agreement with the Nigerian government for some professionals, specialists to come into our system. I think it's 9 or so specialists that are coming in. And we continue to forge these strategic relationships with our partners globally to have people come into our system.
The health minister also said that the government will continue to forge these strategic relationships with global partners to enable other healthcare providers to take up opportunities in Grenada.
Recognize that we do not and will not have all of the resources here locally. So we definitely have to hire in the resources that we do not have. So the strategy really is to, one, prepare our people while we continue to forge alliances with our global partners.
The health minister made a plea for more Grenadians, especially young people, to prepare themselves to take up the various opportunities that will become available directly and indirectly from the proposed climate-smart, resilient medical complex, envisaged to become the medical destination of choice for the Americas.
But we also want to encourage our young people to sign up to take up opportunities that are available. And this medical city that we speak about is going to redound to serious economic benefit for the population, not just in medicine, but there are a number of peripheral services that is going to happen. Additionally, the economy is going to be buoyed out of this whole investment.
Christina John, GBN News.
Okay, so before I get into it, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. Do you believe that this agreement that the government of Grenada is signing with Nigeria, is this a clear indication that the Caribbean islands that met with Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, is this an indication that they are walking away from the Cuban medical program? And if that is the case, how do you feel about that? Because this is so interesting because they came out with this announcement and I think it's something that the media caught wind of before they could have announced it. So based on what I'm hearing is that the media was the one that asked the question and that was the answer that was given, that yes, that they signed an agreement with the government of Nigeria. And also about a month ago or so, I think Jamaica announced that they have some agreement with the government of the Philippines to have medical practitioners from the Philippines come into Jamaica to work there. So I think most people would not be surprised because the reality is that America has the ability to pretty much cripple the entire Caribbean region, because we see what's happening in Cuba and we see the history also with Haiti. So I believe that a lot of the leaders, even though they want to stand up, they know that this Trump administration is crazy. And if they step out there and try to play hardball, that this Trump administration could cripple the islands just like that. So I don't know if I can blame them for trying to do what's best for their islands, because that's just a reality. We saw what happened to Jamaica in the 80s when the Michael Manley government stand up to the American government and there was restrictions on Jamaica. Jamaica had not an embargo, but we had to go through some austerity measures back in those days, rationing food, rationing everything just to survive until the government changed, the government that the American government was comfortable with came into power in Jamaica. So I believe that this is what the Caribbean leaders are dealing with. And so you just have to see with them. And it is so crazy because in the Caribbean, we have the University of the West Indies with a medical school, and we have nursing school right across the Caribbean. But it just seemed that the Caribbean cannot produce enough nurses to keep up with supply and demand. And one of the things is that apart from Cuba, Jamaica produce more nurses than any of the other islands within CARICOM. And in doing my research, what I'm realizing is that the Jamaican Nursing Association, they're having a big problem keeping up with nurses. It's reported that up to 200 nurses leave Jamaica every year to go to Canada, to go to America, and to go to the UK. So nurses are coming out of the School of Nursing in Jamaica. They're coming out of School of Nursing across the Caribbean, but they're opting to go to find higher paying jobs in places like Canada, as I said, the US and the UK. So I don't know what can be done to deal with this crisis, because this is indeed a crisis. Like wherever you go in the Caribbean, you hear stories of, long wait in hospitals. And even someone was giving me a story coming out of Jamaica the other day that they went down to take a parent to the hospital, and that parent was waiting in the hospital, in the hall, because there was no bed for like hours until that person ended up passing away. So it is really a crisis, and I don't know what the government in the Caribbean, what can be done. And one of the things that I've always thought of is that why can't the government across the region, because as I said, we have the University of the West Indies with a nursing program and medical program for doctors. Why can't they put a system in place where their young men and women leaving school with the qualification to become nurses and doctors, but they can't afford the tuition? Why not come up with a strategy to give free education to nurses and doctors with an agreement signed that, look, we will pay for it, but you have to stay within the Caribbean for 10 years. And if you decide to leave and to go to America or Canada to find a better job, then you would have to pay back the government. I believe that something like that could work, because if Cuba can train so much nurses and doctors, why can't the other Caribbean islands that we are not under any embargo or anything like that? So that is just one solution I think that could work for the Caribbean, because personally, I believe that the basic responsibility for any government, whether in the Caribbean or anywhere else in the world, to make sure that you can secure your own food, basic food. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Make sure you can secure your own food without foreign help. Make sure that you can take care of your own citizens in terms of healthcare. And I think those are the basic no frills type of stuff that every government in the region should be able to do without outside help. And all of the other stuff like technology and all those type of things, we can get those stuff from outside. We can get them from China. We can get them from America. But first thing, make sure that we can feed our own people and take care of their medical needs. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this, with the Grenada government signing an agreement with Nigeria, and as I said, the Jamaican government with the government from the Philippines to have healthcare workers coming from Nigeria, from the Philippines into the Caribbean. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing more islands with similar moves in the future. But sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.